see what's going on. Let me write down all these things. We're talking about the Chiron retrograde square with Venus entering Cancer, and both of these planets are entering at the same exact time. Let me double check with the mods, see what's going on. Okay, let's write down these timestamps, get everything in order. Then we'll get started. One of the things I can tell you guys, right, get out of here, fly. One of the things that I can tell you guys right now is that since this is a square, along with this and the new and full moons, we will be doing oracle card readings for the all signs reading. And this is one of my favorite decks. This is one of the only decks I read with. I do read traditional tarot, however, I don't know, man. It just pisses me off because of all the people that do DM to DF readings that I so deeply despise. But yeah, I do read traditional tarot, and I think there's a lot of value in it. However, I also think that just the certain spirits and entities that are ruled by the deck, I'd like to be wary of it. Oh, sweet. Thank you. Amazing. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I don't know. I like, what's the word? This is an astrology live. Are people in Korea super into astrology? Yeah, I've never heard of... Is there a Korean variation of astrology? I don't know. The only thing I hear about Korea is weird dating habits. Let me finish writing these down. Yo, my man's out here dropping shit. Intro. Transit. Teachings. Yo, welcome. This is a live on astrology. Specifically, I'm talking about the transit of Venus retrograde in Chiron and, not Venus retrograde, but Chiron retrograde in Aries, and then Venus entering Cancer on the same day, and that leading into a square of what's going on, which is a learning experience that is based around people learning how to manage their boundaries or their emotional armor versus the feeling of pursuing love, right? So it's like, I'm right, but I'm really saving myself, blah, 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 you know, stuff like that. And I am writing down the specific things that I'm going to be talking about in my notes and my talking points. Well, you keep saying 6,000. You got $6,000 for me? Morning. But yeah, I'm writing down these specific talking points so I can write down the timestamps later in the description. Yeah, everybody like it live. Like it 6,000 times. Give me 6,000 of them things. I don't know why this is. Virgo. Yeah. Everybody like the live, please. Yo. Okay, and then we have that. Okay, let's get started. So, with Chiron, this square will get stronger as time goes on. So, essentially, what we have going on is Venus is entering Cancer, and yo, you wildin'. Venus is entering Cancer, and Chiron is going retrograde in Aries on the same day. So, it's essentially split between the part of us that wants to be held and the part of us that would rather burn it all down and being like, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, it's all about, lighting your candle, grabbing a journal, and melting the armor that you think you need for your own ego, right? So, essentially, what this transit is it will be getting stronger as time goes on. So, right now, what do we have? Right now, we have, let me get this accurate. What's going on? Everybody like the live. Double tap the screen. But yeah, so right now Chiron is in 27 degrees Aries. It's actually about to enter Taurus, and this will be one of its retrogrades before it finally enters Taurus. And with that being said, it is moving back towards the early degrees of Aries, right? So right now we also have Venus in 27 degrees of Gemini, and it is entering Cancer, right? So right now we have a sextile between Chiron and Venus, so it's pretty easy to open up and share the things that you want to do. But as Chiron moves backwards and Venus moves forwards, right around the time we have Venus conjuncting Jupiter, we will have essentially during that time we are going to have that square finally activate, right? So if we're to look at it from an individual perspective, essentially what we're dealing with is Venus in Cancer wants comfort, nurturing, emotional depth, and Chiron retrograde in Aries wants independence, self-protection, and then healing through courage, right? So it's a lot of old energies, a lot of old things holding us back, a lot of old what's the word? A lot of old fears, a lot of old worries, um, and a lot of old like self-protection mechanisms that people think they need will be coming up and presenting that in a way that is you know a bit damaging, a tad bit devastating, and not exactly as healthy as people would like, right? So it's basically the need to be nurtured, but a lot of old ego protections coming up. And people don't exactly recognize the power in that. People don't recognize the aspect of that. But it's gonna be a tense emotional square. And essentially it's like the wounds that people are going to be dealing with and what you're going to be hearing a lot of people just not shutting up is the terms like, I want to be loved, but I don't trust it. I crave softness, but I built walls for a reason. And then if I let them in, will I lose myself? Like, that's what people are dealing with right now, where it's like they have that sense of armor where they want to protect themselves through their routines. They want to protect themselves through their old energies. They want to protect themselves through just, you know, just old ways that don't necessarily even need to be there, right? So when it comes to this square, like some people will call it spiritual therapy in some way, but the same problem that I have with Chiron is people being like, I don't need this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to experience this. And it's like, bro, that's not what we're dealing with here. Relax. Like, that's not what we have going on. Chill out. This isn't the energy that we need, right? So, while this square probably won't last too much into September, it also that's funny. It also we're going to be dealing with the Chiron energy all the way through the new year, which is January 2nd, right? So it will be there. It'll be there soon, but it's like not exactly what people want, right? So it's going to be a lot of energies that are going to be held back, a lot of energies that are pushed forward, and a lot of a lot of things that just need to be solved in a way that isn't exactly what people expect, right? So when we're dealing with this, yo, somebody liked and unliked. Why are you being mean to me? So when we're dealing with this, it's not exactly the most obvious alignment. Hello. But it is powerful nonetheless. So when we talk about this square, essentially what we have going on is just people being all yo, that that comment got me. That was funny. But yeah, man, that's a lot. I believe they call that a shamanic dose. You're wildin'. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of like these emotions and these feelings that people are going through, we're dealing with a vibe of spiritual energies that are going to be in certain aspects of the body. So when it comes to, you know, shamanic healing and chakra wisdom in some ways, essentially what we have going on with this is people are working with um the heart chakra, the solar plexus, and the root, right? Of where it's a lot of how do you put this? It's a lot of like I said, it's just heart and egoic stuff, right? So and the programming. So it's like, look at it this way. So it's like the heart is Venus, Chiron retrograde is the solar plexus, and then the square is the root. So putting those two things together, essentially what people are experiencing is the combination of home stuff, egoic stuff, and then subconscious connection between the two that is going to lead to a lesson in some way, shape, or form. So with that being said, look at it this way. The heart is asking, can you receive love without earning it? The solar plexus is asking, are you being safe yourself without overperforming? And then the root chakra is asking, where is your emotional safety tied to your past, right? So in terms of that, essentially what's going on is people are learning how to connect the two and understand what vibes they have, what experiences they're going through, and recognizing that the yearn that they have and the feeling of what they deserve is essentially blocked by their old ego, their old expressions, what they feel as though they need to align with, right? So it's not necessarily that it's like a bad thing, it's just more or less a metric of how much resistance do you have. So if you have a sense of resistance in regards to what you're like, if you have a sense of resistance of letting people in, then you can't get the love that you want. If you have a sense of resistance to who you need to grow up to be, then you can't exactly have an adult relationship that can sustain the love that you want. If you have a subconscious mechanism that's holding you back and you can't even appreciate what you have, then that's it in itself. You can't appreciate what you have. So there's a lot of ways that it'll slice. And once again, it comes to Leo season of where people are just not understanding how they're held back. They're not understanding what they want. They don't understand like how to necessarily be the person that they need to be. So with that being said, it is an opportunity for people to, like I said, work on that armor, work on that subconscious healing, work on that past trauma that is still running their lives, and recognizing that, hey, do you really want ancestral trauma from who knows how long ago, who knows what barbarian ass ancestor to run your life, you know? Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with a lot of genetic memory. We're dealing with a lot of ancestral trauma. We're dealing with healing the things that we don't even know what we're holding on to in order to prove to a certain person or someone around us that is, you know, just there. You know what I'm saying? So it's everybody knew double tap the screen for your boy. But yeah, so it's like in essence of what it is energetically, it's very simple. We're getting into the specifics on the sign specific reading, which is coming up. And before we do that, does anybody have any questions in regards to how to understand where these certain energies are going to be stored within your body and then understanding how to properly advance and align yourself in such a way to open up and heal, right? So it's like, for example, if you're a Scorpio ascendant, you're going to have Aries in your 5th house, and 5th or 6th. And then if you are a Chiron's in Aries. So, and then if you have hi Ruby. And then if you have Cancer, Cancer is going to be in your 7th or 8th house if you're a Scorpio ascendant. So for those two people, it's an issue with it's like work, like your work life and your self-expression versus your ability to properly get the intimacy you want, right? So it's like if you have that energy and you're a Scorpio ascendant, you very likely are like, I don't want this person to ruin my routine. I don't want this person to ruin my routine, but I want to be with them. You know what I'm saying? So it's essentially like whatchamacallit? How am I gonna stop you from being retarded? I just said hi, Ruby. So yeah, with that being said, it is that's pretty much what's going on. Like it's very, I don't want to how do I put this? It's very like Scorpios just don't want to like, I mean, we'll get into that, but that's basically the answer for that's the answer for, what was I going to say? That's the gist for Scorpio ascendants, but if you want yeah, and then that's always funny because that reminds me of the meta aspect of projection, of where it's just like actually, that's a good question. I wore green today because it's a moon day in Virgo, and Virgo's colors are green, specifically vomit green. And then I wore gray for the moon, but gray also applies to Virgo and Mercury and stuff like that. So, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to leverage the moon conjuncting the south node and essentially basically like just get lucky and work in some way, shape, or form. That's pretty much the reason. You know, it's very like intentional, right? Because when you're wearing the color, you have to have the color that aligns with the intention. And then you have to essentially have the color that aligns with the intention that aligns with that specific part of the house, you know? And then it helps if you have those specific colors on your body. If you want to get into it, I have a guide in my group as well as a guide that aligns with this. It's free on my link in bio, so check that out. But yo, it's not Tinder, it's the T app. The T app with all the data that you need for a proper defamation lawsuit against an ugly girl that you slept with. You don't have to regret it. Now the boys are going to get child support and payments in some way. We're going to garnish their food stamps. That's funny. But what do you mean born on the right day? Yeah, man, I got you. Keep trolling them. It boosts engagement and boosts my live, you know? I like it when the trolls come in because they just help me make money. So thank you. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to the all signs reading. And this all signs reading, I'm actually kind of going all out. What should we call it? No, I'm not, because you didn't ask nicely. You got to figure it out. But yeah, so this all signs reading is actually going to be very special because for squares, I only whip out my cards for squares, new moons, and full moons. And that's pretty much it, right? And why I do that is because when I do oracle card readings online, I do a 3-card pull for past, present, and future lessons. And essentially it's, you know, a square in essence is a lesson, right? And the way I explain squares is like by the old phrase, square up, you know, where people are going to fight and, you know, one way they're going to learn something. They're going to learn that the other person is messed up, or they're going to learn that they should stop fighting and come to an agreement in some way, shape, or form. Oh, okay. That's funny. But yeah, so with that being said, let's start with Aries. Man, I talked for an even 10 minutes. That's cool. So for Aries, essentially, Aries has Venus going. Oh, thank you. Venus has Aries with Chiron retrograde in its ascendant sign. I'm doing these readings for just basically focus on your ascendant sign, but you can also focus on Sun and Moon. Just ascendant is the most obvious and most important. Thank you. I appreciate you, Mr. X. You're hooking your boy up. Keep scheming on the shorties. But yeah, so Aries, it has Chiron retrograde in the first house, and it has essentially, you know, thank you. It has also Venus moving in its fourth house, but it's also kind of like degree dependent. So it may be like fourth, fifth for some people. And just to get technical for a sidetrack is there's a fancy word for multiple signs per, multiple houses per one sign, which is interception. And thank you. It comes from the concept of the Placidus house system, which is essentially a 17th century Italian man going, hey, man, we can't all be equal houses out here. We got this thing called the equator. The sky expands and contracts based off your location from the equator, right? So the Placidus house system, who is conveniently named, whatever Placidus, came up with this method to essentially have it where the houses expand and contract, which is technically called an interception, where people are, dealing with certain things and they may have like multiple houses per the same sign, which is why I add the caveat of, Aries is most likely, if that's your first house, Cancer is most likely your fourth, but it depends, right? Yo, you're from Monaco? My man's out here tax optimizing. That's what's up. Yo, he tax optimizing. He tax optimizing in Europe. He's in Monaco. Unlike Montenegro, which is a sunny place for shady people, as an old British military man told me once. But, yeah. I'm in America, so my tax optimization hub is technically Puerto Rico. But, yeah. That's what's going on. But, as an American citizen, you can tax optimize in many places. I live near Wyoming, which has real estate tax benefits for veterans. So, yeah. I got distracted anyways. Let me get back to Aries. I really talked about not Aries for 2 minutes. Yeah, USD is greater because it is the world reserve currency. However, they are working on transmuting that because one of my other lives that I'm doing in the future is going to be how we talked about America's Pluto return, but the dollar's Pluto return is coming 11 years after the fact due to the Articles of Confederation being the first government that the U.S. had, and now they're trying to get ahead of the dollar transformation through stable coins. So when you heard the concept of CBDC or central bank digital currency, they did the thing that they always do where they're like, nah, we're not doing that. We're just doing the same exact thing through a shell corporation structure. Which is, there's a lot of history around that. But once again, that's too much information that is not actually valuable to you guys because, wisdom is moving too fast for you guys to catch up. Well, let me put it this way. You guys are moving too fast for that wisdom to catch up with you. But anyways, on to Aries. So Aries, they have that square between their first and fourth house. So they have to deal with their sense of comfortability around leadership. And essentially what they're doing with Cancer is coming up, but it sort of applies to you. So Aries is essentially like, basically they're... I don't know, they're kind of going to go through like a tower card experience because they have to recognize that they can't base their ego in the, what's the word? They can't base their ego in pioneering and leadership anymore, right? So essentially what they're doing with that is they are going through a lesson that they can't necessarily be the person that they want to be if they continuously support everyone else the way that they need to be supported, but ignore their own needs for the sake of being seen as a leader or a pioneer, right? So that's essentially what Aries is going through right now, where it's like they can't be the leader that everyone needs if they have a quote-unquote hole in their love cup. Shouts out to you, Beans. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist. Now let's move on to the oracle card reading for Aries. These be them cards. I like them. I think they're way cooler than other cards. Okay, so let's pull a past, present, and future lesson for Aries ascendants during this Venus and Chiron retrograde square. Okay, so let's see what we got. So the past lesson that they got is Hiereth, longing for home. And it says, homesick for the stars, blah, 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 blah. Essentially, what it is the lesson in the past is what I just said. Y'all been doing too much for other people because you want the feeling of being needed. You're going to have to learn. Now, the current lesson that they're dealing with is the Seas of Mintaka. Mintaka is one of the stars in Orion's belt. So it is essentially supporting the, I guess you could say, courtesy and responsibilities of the hunter. So it's like, the hunter's still got to stay fresh. You know what I'm saying? And essentially what Mintaka is it's like still doing what it does with an element of class, right? So it's seeing potential and bringing the unconsciousness to light. So the current lesson with this square is you recognizing and actually doing the journaling efforts as well as like the technical things to understand the, not like the framework that your mind is under, but the impulsive, I guess, routines and patterns that you have applied to your brain that you tell yourself is you, but it's really not. So essentially what it is seeing the potential of you being able to keep the fire in your own furnace, you being able to recognize your patterns, you being able to, whatchamacallit, basically move up and move on and understand that these patterns aren't you, and when you figure it out, you got a lot of energy to do what you want to do, which will inevitably attract that feeling of people wanting to follow your leadership to you. So the next thing you got is the Earth card, the future lesson, which is learning how to be human in a world, but not of it. So basically what that is you recognizing that you have superhuman potential and superhuman energies if you focus that on yourself, but you're too busy being a egotistical, needy person that needs to be a leader and a savior more than those people need you. And you almost sometimes create problems to save them. And it's, you know, that's when we start getting into the TikTok classics in terms of psychological Dr. Frill thinking you know something about people and psychology phrases, which are projection, narcissism, and egotistical. But all those people that made those videos are exhibiting what traits? Riddle me that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Aries. Now let's move on to Taurus. But yeah, you said you're an Aries ascendant, so probably. But yeah. So with that being said, and then like to even, you know, to harp on that point even harder, how does it feel that a Chinese algorithm controls you and that you aren't even an individual? And from my perspective, you being in that space means you're a waste of time and space because you're nothing more than a robot, and you've probably seen the Matrix and you're just allowing that to happen to you and everyone else. So how does that make you feel about yourself? Are you someone that is even an individual? Maybe not. So yeah, that's me being mean for this moment in time. Taurus. So Taurus reading for Tauruses, they're craving safety. They are yeah, well if you're a Sag reading, that's coming up. But so essentially with you wildin' beans. But essentially for Taurus, you are craving safety. It's a beautiful craving, but it's keeping you small in a way, right? Because you're holding yourself back for the sake of preserving energies, and you know there's a very fine line between preserving energies and being a waste of time, right? Because we're dealing with a feeling of wanting to hold on so tight to your peace, your individuality, and your space that you reserve yourself from even going out into the world of being muddied or tainted in any way, shape, or form, which isn't useful for you. So the lesson is you don't have to hold on so tight. And when you don't, and you actually communicate what you need, people are going to recognize that you're a beautiful person. People are going to recognize that you're a beautiful soul. People are going to recognize that you have a beautiful ideology and mentality behind what it is that you do, right? So when it comes to that, let's do the reading. Taurus. What's going on for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants during this square between Venus in Cancer, which is their 3rd house, and then Chiron retrograde in Aries, which is their 12th house of being fucking lazy. Okay, so their past lesson is the blue flame. So they're dealing with a spontaneous awakening, activation energy, integration time. And what I can say before I even pull the next card is it's been integrated. You know what your insight is. You have your guiding light. Look, it's that blue flame energy, aka serious energy. Not a fan, but you know, it is insightful and very specific. Now their current lesson is the energy of surrendering to the sweetness, you know, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, you can do a tarot read on me. I'm probably not going to listen to it because I'm busy right now, but I'll go back and look at it. But yeah, this is basically like, just do what you're doing outside. It's cool. People like you. Shut up. You know, like that's pretty much the energy of it. And then their future lesson is star ancestors. So it's hidden secrets, lost wisdom, look a little deeper. What I can say to that is in the future, you are going to be punched in the face by a lot of your ancestors or people that have been wanting you to go outside. Thank you so much. And basically being like, you know, isn't this cool? Yeah, it could have been cool. Like, because you're going to be experiencing these Venusian vibes. You're probably going to be girl mathing so hard that you're just, you know, doing the classic internet girly thing, which is confusing happiness with euphoria and, you know, having your recent high that'll often lead to a low, but that's besides the point. And then you're going to be out here enjoying it, and then you're going to be apologizing to your ancestors in some way, shape, or form because you essentially, like, what's the word? Because it's like, you know, you could have been doing this shit so long ago. Like, the powers that be, your ancestors, the universe, whatever you want to call it, they want you to do something, and they've been having it set up for so long, and it's just like, do it. It's gonna be great. You're gonna do great at it. Everyone's gonna love you, and you're just too busy convincing yourself that protecting your energy, well, no, that's not the word. You're too busy convincing yourself that taking a nap and not doing anything is protecting your energy, which it is, but it's just like, to what extent, you know? So that's pretty much the energy for Taurus. So yeah, it's real simple. It's you had your inspiration. You did about jack shit with it for too long, and everybody's not even going to be mad at you except your ancestors and yourself. And step to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Venus and Virgo will be good since that's already here, but then Venus and Libra will be even more helpful if you need somebody to assist you. Now moving on to Gemini. My pen. I have an apple. I have a pen. Apple pen. Gemini. Okay, so Gemini, they're being asked to express deep truth, not just a clever one. And what I mean by that is they have Chiron retrograde in their 11th house. And they have Venus in their 2nd house. So they need to be valued by what's going on with whatchamacallit, they have to, I don't know, man. They just gotta, like, recognize that the people around them, they gotta recognize that the people around them aren't exactly always right for them, which they already know and they know how to handle. But they have to recognize that it is going to reveal like, the people they're around are going to be the reflection of their past traumas and their egoic principles that they're holding on to, right? So basically, it's like they gotta say what they feel before it gets swallowed, before they get triggered. And essentially, they are dealing with a similar thing that Cancers are, of where it's like they have values, they have things that are important to them, they have things that they want to do, blah, 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 blah. But essentially what's going on is they are getting absorbed into the adaptations, and they're getting obsessed over their skill, which is absorbing themselves into the social hierarchy and social mentality, that they sacrifice a lot of their boundaries. And they don't do it like Cancers, where it's like they do it out of fear, but they do it out of comfort, and they don't recognize that not having those boundaries that they need and having those experiences that they deeply desire is important. It's valuable to them. It's useful to them, right? So essentially they got to say, like, basically they just have to set their intentions before they get swallowed in the journey of learning what the hell is going on, right? And that's pretty much the gist. So essentially what's going on with Gemini is, like, you know, say their deeper truth, not just a clever one, and pay attention to what they have going on, right? So that's pretty much it. Okay, right, let's pull these cards. What's a past, present, and future lesson for Gemini during this Chiron retrograde square, which is in their 11th house, and Venus in Cancer, which is going to be moving to their 2nd house. Okay. So their past lesson is loosen your grip. It says coping mechanisms, destiny, addiction, let God in. Notice how what I just said is coping mechanisms of them utilizing their, I don't know, what's the word? Utilizing their, like, learning abilities and adaptable natures to essentially, just, like, skip out on their own boundaries, right? Of where it's just like they think they're doing some magical workaround that's really biting them in their own ass, which is dumb. So it's like their present lesson is your life is a canvas, right? Artist, manifestation, creative accountability. And it's saying that this magical skill and ability that they have to just infinitely adapt and learn is their secret that they can use to, you know, advance their own intentions instead of just adapting to everyone else's for what purpose, right? So it's just like Gemini's basically getting punched in the face and being like, you guys don't move with intention. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? And their future lesson from that is starbathing, where it says light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. Because it's like they're gonna have this, like, a whole new world moment where they realize that, like, wow, if I move with intention, things happen. If I move with intention, I'm abundant. If I move with intention, wow, this is powerful. You know what I'm saying? I did Aries. If you want to watch Aries, scroll back to minute 20, and then Aquarius is coming up. So yeah, so basically Gemini is like, they just don't move with intention. They don't have any purpose. They just infinitely adapt and lose themselves in whatever it is they have going on, right? So what they need to do is just move with intention. How about do that? It's real simple. Real simple. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on to Cancer, unless we have any questions. Well, you asking about Aquarius would imply that you are an Aquarius. Okay. Cancer. So Cancer, Venus is blessing them right now, but she's also confronting your old grief, right? So if the Hanged Empress was here, this is the Empress card moment of where it's like, let your softness be your power. So when it comes to that energy of Cancer, yo, we got another Aquarius. It's coming up, don't worry. When we're coming with that energy of Cancer, essentially what it is they're looking back towards their status. They're looking at themselves. They feel lucky, they feel abundant, but it's essentially what I've been saying about Cancer for the longest time, which is they are, you know, they're doing their thing. They're making things happen. But they did not initiate their boundaries. At least most of them didn't initiate their boundaries from a space of love, right? Cancers initiated their boundaries from a space of fear, which inevitably programs their nervous system to be afraid of things, to be fearful of things, to be sketched out by certain experiences of just like them not recognizing that like their boundaries set their baseline emotions, which sets their programming, which sets their values, which sets what they're willing to accept, right? And what you're willing to accept is it's programmed into the baseline experience of your nervous system, right? So what you're willing to accept in your boundaries are important because it sets your baseline emotional state. It sets the groundwork for how you feel. It sets the literal antenna for what you attract into your life. So if you don't want to feel something, cut that off. And essentially what Cancer is dealing with is they're recognizing that Venus is blessing them, but what they're dealing with is that they can't truly move forward into those blessings with their past egoic principles holding them back, right? You are what you attract. You are what you experience. Yo, Mr. X is here. Thank you. Please troll to boost engagement to make me more money. Thank you. Essentially what's going on here is the opportunity for Cancer to be in a space of just like being able to accept the abundance that Venus wants to give them, you know, like not stop bullshitting, stop fucking around, stop being like a pain in the ass to your own ass, you know, like that's basically what it is. So yeah, so moving on to the reading for Cancer, which is whatchamacallit. I know you already said that. Why'd you retract your comment if you're just gonna say it again? That makes no sense. So Cancer, no, I don't live near Monaco. I live very far from Monaco. For one billionaire, and I would like to do more. But yeah, anyways, readings for Cancer is we are dealing with so past, present, future lessons for Cancer during the energy of Chiron retrograde in Aries, which is in their 10th house, and then Venus and Cancer, which is in their 1st house. Past, present, future. Yeah, I know. Woke up in Geneva. Oh man, I did it again. Okay, so the past, present, the past lesson for Cancer is the Fall into My Arms card. It says surrender, holding on to the opposites extremes of life. That's what I was saying, of where it's like they want abundance, they want power, they want beauty, they want excitement, but they're not willing to improve their baseline emotional state due to their boundaries. It's a complex thing. They may not get it. It's okay. But their present lesson is the 7 Star Sisters, the Pleiades, the lesbian car brand, the 7 Stars. Essentially, it's about birthing creations, tapestries of life, expression. So what's going on with the 7 Star Sisters is they're having that same experience of if they recognize that their boundaries are being held back based off of old egoic wounds and recognizing that they integrate. Do I need money? Yeah, I could use some money. Do you want me to say it to you in euros, francs, or dollars? Yeah. But yeah, anyways. So what's going on with the 7 Star Sisters is, that's a good start. Yeah, I accept. I'm happy to accept it in crypto, oil, hard commodities, specifically gold and silver, as well as liquid cash. Depends on what you want, dog. Whatever you're feeling. But hey man, you're trying to bamboozle me. You wildin'. Um, but yeah, anyways. So the seven star sisters for Cancer is essentially like basically what it's saying is that once you do all of the damn, you got 176 Bitcoin. I'm happy to take point one. Don't make me put my now I gotta pull up my Bitcoin address and put it in the chat. Send it to you, boy. But yeah. I know, I just got the reason why I'm saying this is because I got rugged on a low liquidity meme coin that was supposed to build technology around be basically sniping other meme coins, which I thought was funny. But yeah. Beans, just this isn't your world. Don't do the math wrong. Whatchamacallit. But anyways, with Cancer, it's basically saying that oh, the Zimbabwe dollars? Never mind, thank you. Hey, you know, I'll take it. I'm not gonna say no to a blessing. Magical alleged Monaco man. Yeah. But yeah, I dare you to send me send me 0.1 Bitcoin and I'll hook you up. But sorry, I keep getting distracted by the Cancer reading. Dog, if you got that much money in Monaco, just fly your boy out. I'll help you. That's not hard. I'll get you some women for you. But anyways, the seven star sisters is essentially it's saying what I was saying about like helping your own ego, helping your own manifestations, help your own understanding of what you can get out of life just by not being a sad person that lives in fear. Like it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, the future lesson they're having is messenger, which is serious energy, where it says bringing harmony and balance. So essentially, what it is Cancer is gonna kind of pull their head out of their ass and essentially be like, wait, if I just didn't live in fear and set my boundaries around love and actually appreciated myself and you know had this concept of self-love to where I can actually give it to others, maybe I can be an abundant person, maybe I can be a powerful person, maybe I can be a happy person, you know. And they're just gonna open their lives and be to start preaching the energies of self-love, and hopefully they'll recognize the energy that whatchamacallit, thank you. Oh, thanks for saying that. I got a lot of answers for that. But let me finish Cancer, and then Libra is coming up, and I have to do 2 signs, and then I'm on Libra, but I'll give you a little taste while we're at it. But yeah, so Cancer is basically like, if the advanced version is if they recognize that they're the cardinal water sign, and they naturally have that ability to walk into a room and initiate love. Yeah, that's literally it. Like, they're literally... That's pretty much it. If they realize that, they'll have a lot of power. But they have to master their own state of being first. Now, to answer your question, you're young. Why is it hard for you to find love? You're still young and you're rich in Monaco. Bro, it's real simple. Hey man, you know, whatever makes it a W stream. But yeah, it's real simple, dude. 1, you're young, so you got hella time. 2, yeah, of course I know the country Yemen. How could I not? R.I.P. the Houthis. But yeah, so it's like you're young, you have money, you have time, but you're looking for something that is fleeting, and everybody has a different definition for. So what I would say is, like, it's real simple. Just like who likes you. The most basic thing is like, don't go out there with like your intentions on your sleeve. Literally just go out there after you've improved yourself, which is like the basic things like, don't be a waste man, go gym, be a likable person, and just try to go out there and just genuinely get to know the person and see what happens, right? Like, girls make it really obvious when they like you. So literally just take the time to like who likes you and start there. Like, that'll make it easy for you, you know? Because, like, to be straight up with you, if you just like who likes you, you can get away with anything, you know? Not that you should, but you could. And it's just, it makes everything much more smooth, right? And obviously, don't lead with money, you know? Because if you do that, they're going to fall in love with your hand and not you. Do you want that? No. So like who likes you and make sure it's not all about money, you know? Like, for example, one of the things that I often say when people want to take me out, not that I do because I have a girlfriend right now, but what I used to do when people would tell me that I'm handsome is that I would tell them that they should pay the ransom. Take me out, you know? Like, you're inviting me out, you have to pay, you know? So it's just, and it's all about you. Do you mean mining instead of crypto, like traditional mining, or crypto mining? Well, yeah, dude, it goes back to the answer, like who likes you. I don't even know if this is real, and bro, I'm like 1 year older than you, so what does it matter? Oh, what do you like, Beans? Pay the ransom because I'm handsome? Yeah, it works every time. But yeah, anyways, that's the sidetrack. Now moving on to they should, you know? It's like all this women is the prize stuff is blowing my mind. I don't understand it. How? I do everything. How? You know? Like, it's just how I feel about that. But I don't know. I try to stay out of like internet dating concepts just because I don't want to feed any more energy into it. But I don't know. It's like the same thing as yeah, I know, moving on to Leo. It's like the same thing as like being eco-friendly in a world like how you gonna run a Tesla? It's like being eco-friendly, buying a Tesla, and then being annoying about it, right? So it's like, how you gonna do that when like all the electricity in China is still coal powered and it has more pollution than anyone in the U.S. is creating? You know, it's kind of like that, where it's like, well, what am I gonna do about that? You know. So yeah, so moving on to Leo. So Leo, essentially what they're dealing with is like their pride is noble, it's respectable, but can it hold their heartbreak? No. So essentially it's like, for Leos, vulnerability is their real roar. Right now they're having like a quiet, tender moment of where they're like sitting back, they're relaxing, they're doing their thing, and they're recognizing that to truly have peace, they need to open up their emotions. They need to, thank you, they need to resonate with certain people. They need to just, it's kind of like the same thing as Aries, of where it's like they be doing crap for, they just be doing it for the gram, basically. And they need to recognize that they need to do things for them in order to show like what life is going on, right? So it's like, if they realize that they just do what they like, they do what they enjoy. Because my channel isn't monetized. If you just want to make a donation, I can, in my link in bio, I can set that up for you. But like, that's why I'm going live so much, because I'm trying to make my channel monetized. But I appreciate the offer. If you want, I can shoot my Bitcoin address over to you. Or here, I'll just put a donation thing in my link in bio. But anyways, with Leo is essentially like, they're just recognizing that they got to do it for them, right? Because they be bullshitting hella hard doing things for like the energy of other people, and they don't recognize that like they don't recognize that like they can just do whatever they want to do, right? They don't recognize that if they do what they want to do, they understand all the metrics to be a leader and make people follow. So it's like, you know, it's like, hey man, you got a lot going on. If you just chill out and do you, people will get off your ass and actually just do whatever, like relax. So that's pretty much what it is, right? Of where it's like, They can make things happen, but it's just like they just got to do things for themselves. Thank you. Yo, you wild. Oh, I can do that. I didn't know I could do that. Yo, what? Damn, I thought they had the donation things. L-mans. Aha, here we go. What? Thank you. Oh, I got sidetracked because the homie wanted to do a donation thing and I was putting it in my link in bio. And I was like, yeah. I'll do... Yeah. Thank you. Alright, if you want to support your boys there, buy me a coffee link. But yeah, anyways, let me do the Leo reading. I was just making sure I got everything aligned. Yeah, I really should put my Bitcoin address in there. I didn't even think about that. I was like, your boy could use some more Bitcoin. I could always use some more Bitcoin. But anyways, so Leo, let's do the past, present, and future reading from Leos, which is past, present, future leading for Leos with Chiron retrograde square. Whatchamacallit? Why Bitcoin? It's the most simplest thing to understand in terms of donations. Obviously I accept it all. I have a lot of like low liquidity plays that I'm doing, but you know, yeah. What? That was the weirdest thing. Okay. But yeah. So past, present, future leading for Leos, which is going to be for Chiron retrograde square Venus in Cancer. Past, present, future. I don't know why you want to talk about music, dude. It's the randomest, like that's like the most like randomest, non-specific thing I've ever heard. So Leos, they're dealing with the cracked open card, which is rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. The next card that they have is Trial of the Cosmos, which is the intelligence of the universe lies within you. And it's like the same thing as Aries and the same thing as Gemini. Why are you asking if I'm hungry? Like I literally just had breakfast an hour ago. Essentially what it is they're recognizing that like they're recognizing that like, how do I put this? So with Venus and Cancer in their 12th house, they're dealing with like a divine sit your ass down type of period where they need to learn that I usually take a break when I gotta pee. But they're learning how to recognize that like, man, they're learning how to recognize that like they're not all that, bro. They don't have to focus on what other people want. They can do what they want, right? So now they're getting sat down and being like, relax, let me chill out, let me just sit, you know? So that's funny. And in the future, they're going to recognize that like people will still follow them the same if they focus on themselves. They will, yo, you're just saying the randomest shit, dude. What are you saying? But yeah, but Leos are recognizing that like if they focus on what they want, people will still follow them and they don't need energy for their idea, they need energy for themselves. And if they put their energy into their own ideas, they'll actually get that. They'll enjoy that. They'll appreciate that, right? So their future lesson is all paths lead to home, which is inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Literally exactly what I've been saying, which is essentially them recognize, what other languages can I use? I speak German. I'm learning French right now. Specific, but thanks for asking. But yeah, but Leos are kind of in this space right now where they're just like, they just gotta recognize that like they don't have to focus on quote unquote market demand, rather than they can just focus on what they want, and people will naturally follow just based off the techniques they already possess. So that's pretty much it for Leos. Now moving on to Virgo, and then we're getting to Libra for your boy. Where are we going in this world? Very similar to the Matrix. If people don't recognize like their own spirituality and they stop letting algorithms tell them what's up. Wie geht's? Ich hab keine Ahnung, was du sagen, Scheißweiber. Ich kann Deutsch nicht sprechen. Ha 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 ha. Ich hab das gelernt an der Schule und nicht benutzt und jetzt. So yeah. I've actually run into a lot of German people recently, so I've had to be like, I don't know what you're saying. I haven't used this in school. My bad. I don't have to use the potty. All right, now moving on to Virgo. But these comments are funny. Well, I'm going to take that as a backhanded compliment, so danke. But yeah, anyways. So Virgo is Virgo is the king of having like just pain stuck in their nervous system. It's enjoyable. It's what's tickling your brain at the moment. But with Cancer, it's like your body is craving memories you haven't named, and rest is their reset, right? So it's like Virgos are like, life isn't good. I want to feel good, and they haven't created space to feel good because they're so stuck on what's feeling bad, which is what's making them say that, which comes back to the whole thing about the I don't think I took that the way you meant that, but that's funny. But yeah, so Virgo is, I gotta stop reading these comments, I'm getting distracted, I gotta focus. But yeah, so Virgo, they're essentially like dealing with not necessarily genetic memory, but just like not releasing their trauma, and they're having a nervous system response of where it's like all their pain in their nervous system is being released and channeled in a way with Mars and Virgo. But they don't understand that Mercury retrograde in Leo is confusing them and not showing them, like, it's not allowing them to focus and think clearly in terms of what they want versus what they need. And what they need is rest. What they want is healing. What they, divinely are guided to do is to sit down and shut the fuck up. And essentially what it's reminding them of is that, like, the pain isn't new, but their response can be, right? So it's like they're just stuck on some old shit, right? And Virgos are literally the most annoying with when it comes to old traumas and old experiences that they store in their body, right? Because it's like they're trained to stuff it down. They're not trained to release it. They're trained to just store it in their nervous system and essentially, block it and just do different things and redirect it towards different ways, right? So with Virgo, the answer is rest. Rest is their reset. Releasing it from their nervous system is their reset. That's why they shut down when they're really tired and they can't do everything they want to do, right? Of course, I believe in spirit. So the readings for Virgos in regards to what's going on with this for the Chiron retrograde square, which I believe is their... What house is that for them? Is it like their 8th house? Because they have Venus and Cancer in their 11th house, and then it's Cancer, Gemini. So it is their 8th house, I'm right. Yeah, man, I'm hilarious. I'll be living a wild life. But, yeah, so what's going on with Virgo with their 11th house and 8th house is they need to essentially, they're going to feel okay telling the general public that they're not okay and that they're going through a deep transformation in regards to, they're going through a deep transformation in regards to what's going on with just different vibes, right? So it's like they're going through a transformation in terms of how they connect with their deeper emotions within themselves and how they kind of wear it on their sleeve or not, you know? So that's kind of what they're dealing with. So let's focus on past, present, and future lessons for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants during Chiron retrograde, square Venus and Cancer. Okay, past lesson. Past lesson is water your garden. Been saying that forever. Of where it's like they need nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest, right? Present lesson is falling in my arms. They need to surrender, holding on to the opposites, the extremes of life. And then they also need the, whatchamacallit, the 7 star sisters, which is like, once they take care of themselves, once they release that need to just have being needy overall, they can try and like create. They can finally be abundant. They can finally just experience the tapestries of life without necessarily dealing with a certain expression, right? So essentially what Virgo is dealing with is they're having an opportunity to just rest, relax, like, and literally share their pain with the world, stop holding on to so much. And then essentially just once they're free and they release that pain from their nervous system, they'll be back able to create. Like, it's real simple. They just got to do it. Okay, and now we finally have for Mr. X. Mr. X, we got Libra. We got Libra. All the above. That's wild. Wait, let's move on to Libra. A ghost PP. Just like in what's that like Netflix show that's animated about the hormones and stuff with the hormone monsters? Like the ghost going in your butt. Okay, so Libra, okay, so for Mr. X, I would actually not recommend dating right now because right now partnerships, they mirror your wounds and your medicine, right? So it's just like it's like the extra crap of how relationships find a way to trigger you is on steroids, right? So I'd be careful of that. When it comes to Cancer for Libras, Cancer is in your, where is that? I think it's in so Aries, it would be in your, Cancer's in like your 10th house. Yeah, your 10th house. So essentially what's going on with that is some may say. So essentially Libra is going through this space of learning how to reconnect through truth, not performance, and almost holding back their need to heal and be there for everyone rather than just opening up and, you know, being the person they need to be, right? So pretty much what's going on with Libras is they got to deal with the mirrors of relationships. They got to recognize that every time they try to heal somebody, they're going to hurt themselves and sacrifice themselves in some way. And they got to learn how to move on. So moving on to the reading, the all signs reading. So what is the past, present, and future lesson for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings during the Chiron in Aries retrograde, along with Venus in Cancer? Okay, let's see. So their past lesson. Their past lesson is forge, don't follow, which is pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had, right? So what that's kind of saying is don't shuck, jive, and come up with a reason to just don't come up with a reason to like feel the need to fill a gap in terms of some relationship quarrels, you know? Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? And that's the lesson that has been very true for Aries, Leo, Gemini, and now Libra, right? So with that being said, stop trying to be like Mr. Fix-It for all the relationships, right? Even your own. Let it come to you. If your gifts are true, people will come to you for that relationship smoothing, you know? Now their present lesson is star bathing, where it says light body, crystal good, transmission, activation. And essentially it's like once you get through that habitual need that's almost like a drug addiction in some way, you're going to get some inspiration. You're going to get some opportunities. You're going to get things opening up in a way of where it's like you can be open. Your intuition will actually guide you instead of you being guided by what you feel you need to do based off of your skills that you don't even have, you know? So that'll be a cool feeling because it'll be like, clarity. And that's how intuition be hitting you. You just have clarity. Now, in terms of your future lessons, your life is a canvas. And once you're free and you have that inspiration, you're going to be recognizing that there's going to be a lot more to life than what you thought, right? So it's like, for example, like I really like rock climbing. That's my thing. I climb good. And what I do when I'm not working or I'm not like streaming or I'm not doing this is I'm out climbing. I don't have my phone on. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just being, you know? I'm doing my thing. I'm out here. Like, I just do that, right? And everything's clear and simple. And as people say, it's like a moving meditation, right? So once Libra releases this innate need to have some social gaps filled for some reason, they can relax. They can just be. And they can open themselves up in such a way to where it's like, wow, I didn't know there was this aspect of life. I don't know. I think it's pretty good reading. Like I said, Chiron Retrograde is showing you how much of yourself you sacrifice for other people. And it's just showing up for different signs in different ways. So if you got any questions about Libra, let me know. Now, moving on to... It seems like I have high stress levels. It is sometimes, but not all the time. My life's pretty chill, dude. Do you mean like I experience a lot of stress or I have a high stress tolerance? Okay, Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio, right? So Scorpio is, the name of the game for Scorpio is not all intensity is intimacy. And they should learn how to let quiet love in, right? So it's like Scorpios, they like to do this, they like to do that. They like to, you know, intimidate people. They like to be seen as powerful. They like to be seen as knowledgeable. And what they're kind of dealing with is like, they need to feel the undercurrent of what's going on, and they don't need to analyze it away. They don't need to analyze it right away. They don't need to overanalyze. They don't need to do all this shit. They can just be. They can just experience. They can just appreciate, right? And for Scorpios, it's an opportunity to just accept peace, right? Because where do they have Aries? They have they have Aries in their 6th and or 5th house, and they have Cancer in their 8th or 9th house, right? So it's all about expression. It's all about understanding that the wounds they feel are being expressed through life. They're being expressed through their experience, and they don't need to stuff down their care so deeply, right? They don't need that energy of just to be, you know, shot through their 8th house, which is where their loins are, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much going on with Scorpio. Let's get to the reading. There's not anything too specific other than chill out, dog. Funny. Let's get our readings for the past, present, and future energies lessons of Scorpio for the Chiron retrograde in Aries, along with Venus squaring Cancer. Venus and Cancer squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries. I'm gonna drop this card. So the past lesson. Wow, not surprised. I don't know what you're saying, dude. Okay. So it's ironic because Scorpio got the Great Severing card, and says Mars energy, anger, conflict, soften the love, right? So anytime they feel some type of attack on themselves or an attack around any realm of their aura, they, get angry. They chase conflict. And they need to soften the love, like I just said. Their present lesson is Earth pulsing. So it says pulse of the mother, slow down, time and nature. Essentially what's going on is, like I said, they need to feel the undercurrent. Don't analyze it away. Just be. Now the next thing is the All Paths Lead to Home card, which I think was also gotten by Leo, which is interesting because, whatchamacallit? Bro, the way you said that, what do you think this is? Like, what do you think this is? If that's just something that you pulled out, like it's something new. So yeah, what Scorpios have right now is they have to focus on their inner authority, their intuition, and turn their gaze within, right? So essentially they gotta bro, just chill out and stop trying to force it. Relax. And essentially they are, opening up into such a way of where it's like, they just gotta not chomp at the bit and just go at people's throats the second they feel something, And then they gotta stop having that toxic love connection where they have, makeup situations where they just don't need to, Where it's just like, it never had to be that intense. It could have just been talked out, it's that chill. But yeah, that's Scorpio. Moving on to Sagittarius. Oh, okay. Y'all are funny. I forgot that was your job. Moving on to Sagittarius. Scorpio wasn't that interesting. Okay, so Sagittarius. Sagittarius, they've been running, and Venus says, come home. Relax. They have Cancer in the 8th house, and Aries in the 5th house, typically. And essentially, they need to revisit their childhood desire to love because their excitement was put on display. Their excitement was misguided and mistreated in some ways and often seen as a fallacy because when they were young, they just decided to essentially just, get kind of tossed off to the side and thrown out to the wind in some way, shape, or form. Where Sagittarius wasn't treated as well, right? It was just like they were seen as their excitement being what you call it? That I did. That was funny. So essentially Sagittarius is being seen as as a child they were essentially how do I put this? They were seen as kind of airheaded. They were seen as excited in too many different directions and lacking focus and almost like ADHD in some way, shape, or form. And essentially, what the Sages are experiencing is Venus is reminding them that they can focus now. People care about their forms of excitement. People care about their what entertains them. They care about like what is valuable to them, and they want to be, you know, accepting and kind of what they're going through. But what they're recognizing is that they went through such a, I guess you could say, anticipation period of like, will people accept what they're exciting in? Will people say it's just a fad for my life? And they need to shift their wounds around creativity and how they engage in some things, to essentially open themselves up to the possibility of what could be, what is exciting to them, what happens if they follow through and they just don't tell anybody about it, you know? Will they support them? Will they not? Do they have to have something tangible in order to, do they have to have like a physical thing or some type of achievement to prove their worthiness? That's kind of what they're going through. Oh, now, in terms of their past, present, and future lessons, all right, I can't be looking at these cards. I'm fucking up. What do you say? Bro, I don't even know what you're talking about. So essentially what's going on with who's here? Oh, Candy. Hey, how's it going? Hey man, you need to listen to me. I'm in your algorithm. I control your mind now. Okay, so moving on to the reading for Sag. Past, present, and future lessons. I'm triggered. I need a break. So past, present, and future lessons for Venus in Cancer, square, Chiron retrograde, and Aries. Past, present, future. Oh my god, shut up with projection. Interesting. So the first card that Sagittarius got is you're part of a team of souls, call in support. Looks like this. The next card that Sagittarius got is Breath of the Cosmos. Looks like this. And the next card they got is Water Your Garden. Essentially what it's saying here is that like just because you have many different spaces of excitement means that you have many different opportunities to meet people, to grow, and to open up and expand themselves to an entire network of people based off their own excitement, right? This is going to come into play and become a little bit abusive during Mars and Libra. It can be good, it can be bad. It can facilitate a need to rely on different people, to rely for your own like forms of excitement. And it also has an opportunity for you to grow and essentially that was funny. But yeah, anyways. So with that, it's like essentially what they have going on is an opportunity for them to be a part of a team of souls that's essentially they can like call in support on, and it's going to be shown by their forms of excitement and things they're dealing with. When it comes to Breath of the Cosmos, essentially it's more or less matching certain energies to where they can see what's going on with different people. They can see what's going on. I thought it was funny. But yeah, essentially what they're doing is they're seeing what's going on in regards to just like learning how to not press the universe and like micromanage it, and essentially chase their excitement in such a way to where they, how do you put this? They want to chase their excitement in such a way to where it's like that becomes the metric of what they need to do then, and they need to work with that person then on that form of excitement. And then when it fades, take a break, go on to something else. And then the other, when they take a break, they need to water their garden, they need to nourish their body, they need to go on a spa day. Essentially just take the time for tenderness, care, and rest. That's what Sagittarius needs. Yo, when I'm doing these readings, I gotta not look at the comments. They're too hilarious. But yeah, now we are moving on to Capricorn. My man's having a software meeting in the other room. I just gotta read the other software dudes' things. Okay. Now I'm gonna, before I get to Capricorn, I'm gonna take a short break and lay on the floor to crack my back. Oh, that's a good back crack. Oh, that stretch was awesome. Okay, Capricorn. Yo. Is that a real dream? Or are you just fucking with me? If that's a real dream, it's good you're paying attention to it. What I have to compare that to is like losing your teeth dream, where it's like, essentially it's like your anxieties, your fears, and your, basically it's just the constant state of fear that's kind of like eating at you, and you have to understand how to handle them and release it, or else it's going to be like, it's just like any monster chasing your dream, before it's like your fears that you're not handling are biting you in the ass. That's about it. Now, for Capricorn, essentially what we're dealing with for Capricorn is the concept of success doesn't replace tenderness and, you know, touch and human connection. So it wants you to let yourself be human again, right? So, I mean, like, the tarot card comparable to that is the King of Pentacles reversed. And it's really like, it's just saying the standard Capricorn shit of like, you don't have to provide everything on your own, right? So let's pull the cards and see what they need to dive into. Past, present, and future lessons for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants for the square between Chiron Retrograde and Aries and Venus and Cancer. Past. I mean, like, I don't know, dude. It's the most, like, to me, it's really simple. Like, you know, and it all benefits me no matter what. So why would I be angry at what someone that I don't know is saying about me on the internet? Like, it's literally the most simplest perspective of, I don't know you. You don't pay my bills. I have common decency for everyone, but I feel as though that respect is earned. Much appreciated. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You're the kindest troll technically. Like, I wouldn't necessarily categorize you as a troll, but you're the kindest troll that we've had on here. Like, I have a lot of Southeast Asian people calling me a twink. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, if I can handle that, I can handle you. And also, I don't care that these Filipino kids that are probably living in trash are saying things about me. When I don't respond, they say more things, which blasts the live out in an algorithm. So it's like, you guys are paying me while you're probably living in poverty. So I don't know what you what you think you're getting out of this, you know? So yeah, but anyways, in terms of Capricorn, karmic relationships is dealing with Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, conflict. That's kind of like the past things of where it's like what I was saying in regards to you feeling like you have to provide in some way, shape, or form. Typically, it means that Capricorn is, I don't know, typically it means that Capricorn is, it means that they're, I don't know, it's kind of like a bad karma Capricorn of where, how do I put this? That's hilarious. But yeah, so it's basically saying that you were a taker rather than a giver in a past life, so you feel the need to essentially give a lot in this life to fix out that energy. And essentially, it's just like a karmic thing of where it's just like, if you feel as though you've healed enough, stop doing that. If you don't, it's going to keep coming up. Essentially, what we're dealing with in the present lesson is the "You're Not For Everyone" card, right? So it says, embrace your weirdness, face your true north. Once again, that energy of Chiron retrograde in Aries, which is do you. It is do what you want. Make that stuff happen. Facilitate that energy, right? So don't worry about the need to just have to give. Don't worry about the need of just fixing and subconscious connection to karma that you may not even still need to do, you know? So it's like when it comes to these karmic energies, it's more or less just mutual reception and that internal expectation of yourself, right? So it's like once you decide it's done, once you decide it's fair, that's when you can release that contract. That's when you can let it go. And then you can give from a place of just pure giving rather than having expectation, you know? Oh, you went for it. But essentially the future reading and the future lesson for Capricorn is the Golden Children card, which says inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts, right? And this is what I was saying in regards to you giving without expectation and releasing that soul contract in some way, shape, or form, because it's an opportunity for you to essentially essentially it's an opportunity for you to recognize that you have control over your karmic debts, and once you decide they're paid and release those contracts, you can truly move on the way you want. But that's Capricorn for you. Now let's move on to yo, this guy. You're the reason Grace left. Okay, moving on to Aquarius. Okay, so Aquarius, I believe that. Aquarius is dealing with selective detachment. So people are essentially like mistaking a sense of numbness for healing. And what we're dealing with is essentially an opportunity for them to just recognize that, like, hey man, like, chill out. You have that connection to where you will be speaking people's past pain into their lives, and you also have the ability to work with them in a caring, comfortable way. So it's either you can work with them and spend time like caring for yourself, like I think of like the water your garden card and the nourishment when we're talking about this, but it's like they also have the ability to trigger people in terms of their past life or their past egoic traumas in some weird way. So that's kind of what they got going on. So let's pull the cards for Aquarius dealing with their past, present, future lessons of this square between Chiron retrograde in Aries and Venus in Cancer. Well, that was easy. Now their past lessons. Okay, so their past lessons is all paths lead to home. They are dealing with inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. And then we also have the present card, which is Earth Pulsing, where it says Pulse of the Mother, slow down, time in nature. And then their future lesson is the Great Severing, right, where they're dealing with conflict, anger, and aggression, right? So it's just like, Aquarius, you can do whatever. You gotta learn how to chill and respect yourself and just, you know, respect your time and energies and just ground, right? And you're gonna have to know that once you're in your grounded state, you will be triggering people, but you're gonna be triggering people regardless. So it's, do you want to trigger them for funsies and get a little bit of karma of people just hating on you? Or do you want to trigger people in a way that is healing for them and guides them to an abundant and powerful place? What do you want to do? You know? Because it's like, Aquarius, you're going to trigger people regardless. You have Pluto on you now. It's happening. Trust me, I know. I have Pluto in my first house in my chart, so I know the pain. You trigger people no matter what you do. So essentially with Aquarius, it's like they have to learn to trigger people out of love or just trigger people for the funsies of it. That's pretty much it. Moving on to Pisces. Is pen dead? Nope. So Pisces. Pisces, you already know who you are, what needs releasing. Stop romanticizing around the wound. Essentially what you got to do is you have to walk away with love, not regret. And essentially what it is an opportunity for Pisces to not hold themselves back in terms of, they don't want to hold themselves back in terms of, I don't know. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, it's a numbers game. You scheme on enough of them, you'll get one. But essentially what we got going on is you, like, you know what you got to heal. You know what you got to you know what you got to do. You know what you got to make these things happen. You know how you got to make these things, like, just Pisces, it's just like, you know what you got to do. Like, stop bullshitting, you know? Because it's dealing with your second house and it's dealing with your fifth house, right? So it's like your pain, your karma, your issues with yourself are on your mind. And your ability to heal is through your own creativity, your own abundance, your own power. Like, it's an opportunity for you to really just do your thing. Like, literally, like, I don't really have to tell you to do anything. Oh wait, no, these cards were for the other ones. Let me get specific. So let's do their reading for past, present, and future lessons for Pisces during this Chiron retrograde in Aries in their second house, squaring Venus and Cancer in their fifth house. So, past, present, future. Oh, hey man, I haven't gotten this card all reading. So their past lesson, don't hate on the bag, Beans. Don't hate on the bag. So Pisces got the Void card, right? Of where it was stop, embrace winter, the great cosmic wound. And I sort of interpret this for Pisces as their ability to feel like they're in the dark, but avoiding all the emotions within it. And their present lesson that leads to that is the Forge Don't Follow card, which is, you know the problem. Stop making up and following other people and adapting to their emotions and taking on more pain to add into yours of what you got to heal, right? And their future lesson is starbathing. Once you get through it and you stop basically rimming the energies that you're supposed to heal, your light body, your crystal grid, your transmission, your activation is an opportunity for you to move up and move on and actually do these things. Beans, if you actually get that transaction, I'd take it. That's funny. But yeah, so Pisces is just like, it's just, you know, hella avoidance, distracting with other problems, and then once you get past all that, you have a phenomenal space of abundance that you can move through and actually just make it happen. That's pretty much it for Pisces. Well, yeah, that's it for the all signs reading. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, I will now take my pee break. What y'all got going on? You still trying to marry Beans? Yeah, I mean, we were talking about, as the description says, we were talking about, I'm talking about the square between Venus and Cancer and Chiron going retrograde in Aries at the same time. Oh yeah, thanks, Beans. This is the wildest. This is the most entertaining. But yeah, Candy, if you're interested in other things, let me know. Oh yeah. If you want to scroll back to your sign specific reading, I can whatchamacallit, I can give you the timestamp for that. You mind being more descriptive? Because my first guess for that is Leo. And if it is Leo, the timestamp for that is 52:30. Other than that, I'm going to give the final breakdown. Yeah, so it's 50:30, 52:30 is where it's at. And if that's it for you guys, the last thing I'll say is that love is not the opposite of strength. It's the opposite of fear and hate, that's for sure. But it's what makes, it's what makes your strength sustainable. So let this week and the upcoming square that we're experiencing allow you to let someone in, even if it's your own breath, So without further ado, bye. Oh yeah, and then for those that are interested, you should check out my school. Beans dropped the link. That's where we got a group. So if you want to feel like you're not just someone that is waltzing through the shorts feed for a DM to DF reading, that you have for a toxic love connection that isn't going to come back and should not come back, you should check out my school, where we have a community of people that actually manifest things and know astrology and don't feel like a lazy person. But yeah, click the link if you're interested.